Alright, welcome to my video walkthrough, not video walkthrough for Shining Force 2 and speedrunning it. So, my name is No Worries, and I will be taking you on a trip through some of the battles here, trying to detail exactly what we need to do, what the goal is, and how enemies move so you can get a better idea of how to learn this game, and then, just in general, just how to play it better. This could be used just in general for casual run-throughs, though it is going to be specifically geared towards speedrunning it. Now, one thing I do want to mention right off the bat, I am going to try to stick to what I use in terms of characters. However, I do know what I do is a little bit more on the tricky side, so I'm going to try to keep it as friendly as I can towards all the characters. The characters are something I do plan on doing their own separate video for, but we're going to get into that much more down the road. So, let's talk about this battle. So this is what the very first battle of the game looks like. It's pretty straightforward and simple. As you can see, there are just 6 enemy gizmos, and we have our 3 heroes down at the bottom of the map. The only major things to note is that Bowie takes considerably more damage. Bowie is indicated down here. He takes 3 damage per each gizmo hit. Both of his allies take just 2 damage, Sarah and Chester, The gizmos all have 5 life, and Chester deals 2 damage. Each of Bowie and Sarah deals 3 damage. So we have to obviously spread out our attacks to get things right. So the first thing we're going to do here, over the couple turns, our first round is going to look something like this. Keep in mind, this is not exact. All of these pictures and maps that I'm going to have used, I've borrowed from other websites. So all of these map backgrounds are going to be borrowed from GameFAQs by a guy named Apathetic Aardvark. The links for all these will be below in the description. So you're just going to have to use your imagination a little bit when it comes to the grid on how this works, but I hope I can at least give you the general gist of how all these things work. So our first turn, we're going to move like this. We're going to want to put Bowie over here, because our next turn we're going to want to put him over here. But we're going to get into that on the next turn. The gizmos just kind of move all about. The only thing that really matters is that these 2 gizmos are going to move down like this. So we still have these 4 gizmos, which for the sake of argument, I'm going to just put them up there to kind of separate them from the rest of the pack. These 2 are going to move here. Now, what's significant and why this matters is because what these 2 gizmos can do is they're going to move down to here. Now, just for reference, one of these gizmos can move 5 spaces. So like coming over here, you can kind of get a gist. So if our gizmo, we use green for his starting point, if our gizmo starts right here, then he can move 5 squares. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I need to bump up the opacity, I certainly could. But, this is just to kind of give a general idea. So, so start there, move 5 spaces. That means that that's a spot, and this is a spot. These are all threatened spots because of the 5 movement. So, the goal here, because these guys can move 5 spaces, on our next round, we're going to move Chester up to here, and Sarah up to here. These spots are the spots that are just one right off the stairs onto the square. Like this is 1, 2, 3, 4 wide, so basically they're just going to be on either end, right next to the stairs. This allows the gizmos to come down like so and attack them. This draws the enemies down. This gizmo battle is only made difficult if we get swarmed by the gizmos, so we have to be smart in how we move, understand this movement over here, this 5 movements, so that we know how to move our guys in terms of drawing them down. So this is what we're going to do. Now the reason that we want to set up over here is because we can then move Bowie up. Now 6 spaces would put him right here where Chester is, but using the movement glitch we can put him 1 spot next to Chester. Now this is important. It's not super important, but it's important for a couple of reasons. One, if we were to put him here, or here, here, or here, if either of these gizmos were to move before we could kill it, and they come over here to attack, or like he comes down here to attack, it throws off our positioning. This area right here, this grid, So let me draw like this grid out here. Yeah, right about there. That square, this is kind of where we want our entire battle to take place, is right in this area, because the gizmos are all going to stick around, right up here, coming on down. So we want to be able to draw the gizmos down properly. They're going to come down, like I said, going back to knowing the 5 movement, we want to try to draw them down so that we can not waste a single turn attacking, but then also at the same time just keep moving, keep going forward, keep taking out the gizmos. So this is what this setup's going to look like. From here, we want to move Chester over and attack, because this will continue to help moving the gizmos down. Now, as far as what does Sarah and Bowie do, we always want to be focusing on the enemies that have not yet moved. This is something that's important in this battle, and it's going to be important in every single battle down the road. Paying attention to who has not yet moved and which enemies have not yet moved, because if Chester moves here and attacks this gizmo, and this gizmo attacks Sarah, there's no point in having Sarah attack this gizmo. This gizmo has already moved for the turn. Sarah should come over here and kill this gizmo, because this guy hasn't moved yet. So if we can kill him and take him off the map before he gets to act, that's time saved. That's saving our people's lives. So we always want to be paying attention to who hasn't moved, because that really dictates what we want to do. And we're going to see this a lot more, like I said, into the future battles. So I can't really specify how the rest of the battle is going to play out, because, Sarah might end up here, she might end up here, he might end up here. It all varies from playthrough to playthrough, but what's important is to understand, like I said, these few points. 1, know that these gizmos can move 5 spaces. This is the range of the gizmo. This is important because we want to move someone into this spot. So we want someone to be from the gizmo 6 spaces away, because then that will control where the gizmo moves. This is something that we're going to talk about a lot, and that's controlling the enemy. We're going to move the enemy where we want them to move based on knowing how the enemy moves. The second thing is to keep track of where our guys are at, who hasn't moved, so that we know how we want to move and how we're going to do things. Chester is really fast. He's almost always going to be going first. Bowie is pretty slow. He will generally be moving towards the end. But at this stage of the game, anything can happen because nobody's got particularly outstanding stats. I guess the last thing to note is everyone's got medical herbs and Sarah has heal. It's the first battle. We really don't want to do any healing if we can avoid it. If either Chester or Sarah fall below 5 life and there are still more than 3 gizmos alive, I would go ahead and heal. If Bowie drops below 9 life, so in other words he's at 3 or 6 life, I would go ahead and heal him, unless you have like 1 gizmo left. The rest of the stuff you just kind of have to, fly by the seat of your pants and make it up as you go along. That's how it works in this world. So this kind of concludes the first battle. I hope you guys found it informative. Hopefully I mentioned a thing or two that you did not know. And we'll see you back next time for battle number 2. Alright, thanks for watching.